Mahiro Kanatsuki tells Itsuki Yuji that she's pregnant with the child but is unable to believe this. She is about to reveal who the father is, but then a magical portal appears and abducts them. After they wake up, Mahiro reveals that she hasn't been with any man, so the pregnancy doesn't make sense. Itsuki tries to console her, but then she unleashes an overpowered demon upon him. Itsuki tries to escape the monster, and then he suddenly summons a magical sword that allows him to kill the beast. Mahiro and Itsuki notice similar marks on their bodies, and then they realize that they are in the magical land of Grandvania. They meet Mana the raccoon, who introduces them to her master Narcissus. He takes our heroes to King Shangri-La, who asks for their help in this alternate reality. Mahiro is skeptical about this, but then she faints, so she is taken to the hospital. The next day, Itsuki wakes up in a compromised position and meets Rion, who is studying his body. She reveals that the impurities of the labyrinth have been transforming into monsters, and then Mana shows up to reveal that 12 maidens will help Itsuki defeat them. Now we learn that Mahiro has actually been summoned as the priestess of Virgo, and Mana states that the harem of mistresses must perform a love ritual to create holy children with Itsuki. Mahiro agrees to be with Itsuki as it is the only way for them to go back home. However, Mana acts creepy with her, so Itsuki throws her away, after which our heroes get busy. Suddenly, the star child Virgo is born and sent off on his first mission. Then, the creepy raccoon takes our heroes to the other maidens, each of whom are affiliated with the star constellation. Itsuki has to seduce all these mistresses, so Mana gives him a book to help with the flirting. The team has a good time during a cherry blossom celebration, but Ruka has gone missing, so Itsuki goes to look for her. She is seen plucking some flowers, and then our hero bonds with her. She tries to read his mind with her Esper powers, but is unable to do so as he is not from her world. Ruka becomes upset and walks away, after which Mahiro shows up drunk after eating an adult chocolate. After a brief chat with her, Itsuki explores the town, and then Mana takes him to Alfie, who is training Virgo. She says that he must make more star babies if they want to defeat the monsters. So our hero manages to seduce Ruka and get the job done. The king blesses Itsuki with star wards, and then he is sent to the labyrinth to take on the boss monster. Mana guides him inside and explains how impurities work, but the overpowered beast suddenly appears and defeats Itsuki along with his kids. He manages to escape with Mana, but realizes that he needs more powerful children. The kids recover quickly, so Itsuki goes in again, but the result doesn't change. Seeing no other option, Mana tells Itsuki that he must carry out double love rituals by getting with 2 girls at the same time. Itsuki is nervous, but then Narcissus reveals that the children born from such rituals are a lot more powerful than normal star babies. Later, Itsuki chills with Mahiro as they visit the hot spring. After an awkward moment, they take a bath together, and then Mahiro notices her lover's wounds. She uses her puppet to joke with him, but then the spring gets to her and she passes out. Itsuki saves his mistress and acts like a gentleman to retrieve the puppet from the water. The lovers are about to kiss, but then Mana interrupts them to talk about the love carriage. Later, Itsuki is examined and Rion reveals that he is no condition to perform a double love ritual for a couple of hours. She offers to be his maiden, and then our hero meets Fallon at a bar. He uses some of the tricks in the flirting book to seduce her, and then Itsuki carries out a double love ritual with Fallon and Rion. They give birth to Capri and Scorpy, who join our hero's army and help him defeat the Impurity Lord Phantom. Mana harasses Itsuki with her fantasies, so he runs away from the creepy raccoon. He enters the church and finds Eri, who is taking care of the children there. After chatting with her, Itsuki notices Yuzuha, but she runs away from him as she's shy. Itsuki thinks about seducing her, but then Mana interrupts him with her fantasies again. Later, he offers some bread to Yuzuha and she uses it as an eraser for her paintings. She is shown to be very insecure as she likes to sleep inside a coffin named Catherine. Yuzuha says that she's feeling low on inspiration, so Itsuki offers to help her with a change of scene. They spend some quality time with each other while Mana peeps from the tree. However, a mother and child witness the raccoon doing some creepy things to the birds, so they run away. Unfortunately, Yuzuha misunderstands the situation and starts to cry. Later, Eri tells Itsuka that Yuzuha has an illness that makes her life shorter every time she sleeps. Our hero is determined to help her, so he makes a coffin with mana and offers it to Yuzuha. This makes her happy and then they make a star child together. Now, Itsuki gives Eri a box made by mana, but it has some spicy toys inside. However, Eri seems to like this, so she gives Itsuki a reward. Our hero continues to dominate the monsters with his star kids, and then Mana prepares a trip to the beach for a summer fling. On their way, they meet a playboy named Sia, who is a bit too excited to see the maidens. The girls have a good time at the beach, but the fortune teller, Lilith, is shy. Itsuki notices that she has an alter ego named Lily who acts aggressively with him. Lilith reads his fortune, and then Lily reappears to tell him that he will die if he continues at his current rate. Meanwhile, Mana takes care of Sia in her own freaky way. After some more fortune telling, Lily and Lilith make a star child with Itsuki so that his life can be spared. Later, he spots Sia spying on the girls. The playboy runs into Eri's church and then she makes him train with her Naginata. It leads to a funny misunderstanding with Itsuki, so Eri clears the confusion and takes our hero to check out the secret sword collection. She gets upset when Itsuki reveals what a real Naginata looks like, but he consoles her. They make a baby later, but Eri is too spicy for our hero to handle. Now, Mana leads Itsuki to Colette, but he doesn't feel right about making a child with her. However, he remembers his mission and helps the maiden with her bakery. The couple spend some quality time together, but Mana keeps interrupting them. The bakery is completely ready, but there aren't any customers due to the fact that Colette's grandfather has fallen ill. Luckily, Alfie, the maidens, and the Star Kids show up to offer support. Suddenly, a couple of demons arrive to harass Colette so that they can take her shop, but the Star Children shoo them away. Colette fears that Lunch Pack Company will drive her out of business. So Mana leads Itsuki to Femiruna, who is the owner of the competition. The princess doesn't listen to Itsuki, so he kidnaps her and keeps her inside a secret room. The team plans to make Femiruna eat some of Colette's bread, but she doesn't listen to Itsuki as she feels threatened. After some time, the princess passes out from hunger, so our hero reassures her of his intentions. Femiruna eventually gives in to his words and starts to do as he says. After some time, she finally agrees to have his child, but hilariously skips the foreplay. Meanwhile, Colette's grandpa gives her his secret recipe and urges her to compete in an upcoming fair. Mana plays out a mystery murder fantasy as she writes her own novel, and then she informs Itsuki about the upcoming Holy Star Festival. Our hero receives a letter from Colette asking to help with the recipes her grandpa left her. So he supports his maiden, but things get awkward when she asks him which body part he likes to bite. Now, Tora messes up with her deliveries and destroys Mana's mansion of horror in the process. The naughty raccoon questions her about it, so she says that her master is putting pressure on her to deliver the letters. Meanwhile, Colette creates all kinds of bread, and after several attempts, she manages to finalize the happy sausage bread. The girls set up different shops, but Mahiru and Yuzuha have to compete against Colette as Femiruna has started a new business. Now Colette agrees to have Itsuki's baby, and they hilariously do it while wearing sausage costumes. Later, Femiruna shows up and sells undergarments while Mana plays a game of letters to get Itsuki together with Tora. He helps Tora find a lost letter and also assists her with delivering whatever is left in her stock. Now the couple exchanges some love letters of their own and finally make another baby. Mana is pleased with the progress as 10 maidens have been successfully impregnated. The naughty raccoon creates a bachelor dating game to carry out the ultimate love ritual and starts things off with Sue, who is very fond of animals. Itsuki starts his flirting but learns that Sue had lost her parents to some demons. He offers her some comfort, and then we see the other girls chatting about their love rituals. Now Itsuki makes some tasty sushi for Sue, and she is blown away by the taste. Meanwhile, Miri expresses an interest in studying Itsuki as he's from another world. Mana makes the girls compete in a funny game, and Miri wins after a brief struggle. She has a date with Itsuki and gets freaky with him in the tub. After this, he feeds her some sushi and wins her approval. Our hero chooses to lay with Sue, and she expresses her fear for his safety in the labyrinth. That's when Mana decides to make this a double love ritual with Miri, but Sue is a little shy. Luckily, Miri uses a hypnosis gas to lower her inhibitions and carry out the deed. Now that all the babies are created, Itsuki prepares for his mission, but that he learns that there is a 13th labyrinth which holds the seal to an overpowered phantom. Mana is excited because this means that there is a 13th maiden. However, Itsuki gets nervous when the raccoon tells him that the maiden might be a boy. Our hero meets Sia, who is getting done with a workout, but Mana continues to make it weird for him. Itsuki rebukes her for being excessive, but she breaks the fourth wall and says that the writers wanted to shock the viewers with this twist. She even suggests animal maidens, but then Sue shows up. So Itsuki avoids an awkward interaction. Now, Sia arrives dressed as a vampire and tries to seduce Itsuki, but he runs away before things get creepy. Then he meets Narcissus, who tells him to take it easy. Later, Mana reveals that she was an impurity before but was saved by Shangri-La, who is revealed to be a visitor. Itsuki bonds with Mana and decides to finally do what is needed to save the world. But then she reveals that this was just a prank to trick him into opening his mind. Itsuki is unable to find the 13th maiden, so he trains with Alfie and the children, after which they decide to take on the 12th impurity Lord Tentator's. An intense battle begins as the fire beast unleashes his flame powers upon our heroes, but they unite their strengths and defeat him after a brief struggle. However, the portal doesn't open, so the king tells Itsuki that he must find the 13th maiden soon. Alfie believes that she is the one destined for her crush, but all her efforts to talk to Itsuki are in vain. She even tries to call out to him during a public campaign but can't get through. Later, Mana identifies Alfie as the 13th maiden and tells her to meet Itsuki, but she wants their moment to be sudden and trendy. In order to push her point forward, she gives the raccoon a videotape for reference, but then Mana shows it to our hero. Itsuki learns from it and takes Alfie out on a fancy date but goes back to her place later. They share an emotional conversation where she learns about his past, and then she shows him a book she has made for his protection. They are about to kiss, but Alfie passes out from a bad stomach. Luckily, she recovers and they manage to carry out the love ritual. Their child becomes the center of attention, but then Alfie faints from weakness. Shangri-La is informed about this, so he asks for our hero to be summoned. Narcissus finds Itsuki in the night market and takes him to the king's palace, where he is told that the 13th Phantom cannot be defeated, but should rather be sealed. Mana searches for Itsuki and walks in on him, being told that he must sacrifice himself to seal the Phantom. This makes our hero upset, and he decides to spend some time alone. He watches all the happy families and decides to buy Christmas gifts for all his maidens and children. Everyone is happy with their presents, and then Itsuki gives Mihiru a new puppet as a symbolic gift. The next day, Alfie is also pampered, and she reveals that she is the child of a visitor and a maiden who were killed by a demon soon after. However, she does not have the powers of a star child any longer, so that is why her child looks different. Suddenly, the set changes to a reality show and a hilarious scene follows. Now that he's done with his duties, Itsuki decides to give Mana a special kind of present, and it makes her emotional. The next day, he sets out on his mission and visits the king. The girls don't want our hero to lose his life, so he gives everyone a twist by saying that he will not sacrifice himself, but will rather fight the Phantom. He makes his way to the enemy and begins his attack, but the beast is too overpowered for him. The king forces the maidens to carry out the sacrifice ritual anyway, but Mihiru refuses to do so as she doesn't want to lose her lover. After a detailed discussion, we learn that Itsuki can still win if he forms a deep bond with all the maidens. The Phantom charges at the girls, but they merge their powers with the Star Children to transform them into overpowered robot warriors. They attack the Phantom, but it is of no use as it cannot be harmed. However, Itsuki manages to boost himself with a potion that Mana stole from the king, and he attacks the beast. Now he tells the maidens that he wants to be with all of them, and they awkwardly agree with his intentions. An intense battle breaks out, but Alfie sacrifices herself to save her hero from a laser blast. She passes away in an emotional moment, but also reassures Itsuki that she is truly happy now. Her soul transforms into an emblem that the maidens use to boost the Star Kids. Now they unite with Itsuki to create an Ultra Mecha Warrior, and they fiercely battle the Phantom. The beast reveals his true form to dominate our heroes, and things don't look good for Itsuki. However, he declares how much he loves all his maidens, and it inspires Alfie's daughter to transform into a deadly spear. Itsuki manages to defeat the Phantom with a spear, but then the Star Children vanish now that their job is done. Everything is back to normal, so Itsuki and Mihiru decide to go back to the real world, but the maidens decide to join them as well. To everyone's surprise, Alfie and the children are also revived, and Mana achieves her human form. Now, everyone lives together as one happy family. And that's the end of the show. Like, share, and subscribe for more awesome recaps. Also, hit the bell icon for regular notifications. Okay then, I'll see you in the next one.